Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. As of today, of course, we will be reviewing WWE Evolve. The main event features, of course, Aaron Rourke making another title defense, this time against Tristan Angels, who won a number one contendership. But the real question is, can Aaron Rourke become a fighting champion like he claims to be, or will he fall? We'll just have to wait and see. And we do have other plenty matches as well. And then we move on, of course, with another 3 hour event of AEW with Dynamite and Collision, featuring, of course, many matches. Basically, of course, we saw the aftermath of what happened in Double or Nothing. We saw that MJF regain the AEW World title, but the real question is, who's going to be the one to take crack at him? That's a very good question. We have brand new AEW World Tag Team Champions. We do, of course, will hear from Kevin Knight for his actions after attacking Darby Allin. And of course, Kevin Knight probably will want answers too. So we got plenty of things that are going to be happening this entire time. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. In the world of wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got through Nike Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers, let's get to it. So let's begin with WWE Evolve. Alright, WWE Evolve. Well, as you know, Aaron Rourke, as you probably can guess, he is mentally prepared for his upcoming event match against Tristan Angels. As you know, he won a fatal four-way number one contendership in order to get here. But however, of course, he is also paying attention between the match of Harlem Lewis and Braxton Cole. Now, these guys are also guys that are aiming for the Evolve title. So basically, Aaron Rourke is being careful, knowing who will be targeting him. So we'll see how things will go in the main event. Now we open up with singles action, Harlem Lewis versus Braxton Cole. Now if you guys remember what happened, now Harlem Lewis, as you know, since the whole time with the war of the PC and the ID guys was raging on, Harlem Lewis could care less who wins or who will tear each other apart, long as he gets the one thing he wanted, which is the Evolve Championship. However, he had one obstacle to take care of, and that is, of course, Braxton Cole. So Braxton Cole got in the way last time in putting themselves in a three-way match. But, however, of course, Braxton Cole was able to separate Harlem Lewis to ensure he doesn't win the title, but eventually Braxton Cole was the one who lost. But now it's a one-on-one action. Harlem Lewis is determined to break him. Now, my assumption is that once Harlem Lewis defeats him, he probably will be trying to make himself way back into the title consistency. But however, in this match, well, let's just say Braxton Cole decided to cross the line by using a chair onto Lewis, and just like that, resulting into a disqualification. But for whatever reason, the security guys showed up and took away Harlem Lewis. I'm like, he didn't do anything wrong. But of course, Braxton Cole took great pleasure in seeing him being taken away. But if I was Braxton Cole, I would watch my back. Now, Timothy Thatcher had some interesting news. Now, one of them, of course, walked in his door with Tate Wilde, who has now been told that Mr. Stone wants him full time in NXT. And of course, Tate Wilde told him that thank you for the great experience. Thank you for allowing me to grow and to evolve into a much better wrestler. So, of course, his last words, have fun. But he also mentioned, of course, other things are going to take place. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Sloane Jacobs and Nikita Lyons taking on Laney Luck and, of course, Wendy Choo. Now, if you guys remember, Laney Luck had the opportunity to challenge, of course, Wendy Choo, but that match was spoiled by Nikita Lyons and Sloane Jacobs because they felt we should be the ones obtaining the Women's Evolve Championship, and that was the case. However, I would say if I was Nikita Lyons, I wouldn't trust Sloane Jacobs was able to pick up the win by pinning onto Wendy Choo. So in a retrospective, she could be the one to challenge her next, and that's something we could definitely see along the way. Now, we did see last week Elijah Holyfield talking with Timothy Thatcher. Turns out that he will have an in-ring debut next week, so that looks like it was been planned out. Now, Harley Riggins and Cam Hendricks, let's just say that Thatcher had some issues toward them, so we'll see what happens from there. Now, our Evolve Championship, we have Aaron Rourke and Tristan Angels. I thought the match was okay. It was pretty decent. But, of course, Tristan Angels put out a lot of hurt onto Aaron Rourke. But, however, I'm not sure what it was. It looked more like a backslide. But from my perspective, it looked similar like to pottering. The same move that Sayuri Anu does to her opponents when she pinned them. And I've seen that a lot. So, I don't know if I could call it the pottering, but I would just put it in there anyway. And he retained the title. But, however, the Mog Squad, it seems that they're making a play. And it seems that Max Abram wants the title. But thank God, Cappuccino Jones, Marcus Mather, and Sam Holloway showed up. So we got another war taking place as well. So we'll see how things will go from there. So right now we are done with Evolve. So let's move on with our last and final review. And that is, of course, AEW Dynamite / Collision. Okay, AEW Dynamite / Collision. So we are in the aftermath after what happened in Double or Nothing this past Sunday. We opened up with Kenny Omega and talked with Will Ospreay. Of course, he told Will, "Why didn't you come to me after you going struggling?" And of course, Will is saying, "Well, where were you, man?" That sort of thing. But however, Kenny was getting up to this point. He tells him, "You can't trust Jon Moxley." So that's pretty much it. Now, I think I know in story-wise what he's trying to say. There's a part of me that would think that let's say, hypothetically, Will Ospreay does win the Owen Hart tournament and he wins the AEW World title in Wembley Stadium. But afterwards, what do you think would happen? Well, easy. Jon Moxley would definitely want to have the AEW World title back where he believes rightfully belongs. So that's something I would say maybe Kenny can see, but we'll just have to wait and see of that. Now, Kevin Knight, of course, we saw what happened at the end of the main event. He turned heel. He attacked Darby Allin while he was put in a stretcher. He told him that what he did was take matters in his own hands, so it was more like he felt that Darby Allin might have disappointed him. He let everybody down for losing to MJF and that sort. But however, Mike Bailey was trying to talk with them, but of course, Kevin Knight whacked him. Now, we did hear later on from Mike Bailey saying, you want to throw down? Then we'll throw down next week. So, of course, Mike Bailey's not going to back down from anybody, even if you're his former best friend. Now, Ricochet, as you know, let's just say he is confident enough to believe that he'll walk out as a victor because he has more wins over. Yeah, the only reason you have wins over him, Baldy, was the fact that you had Atel Leona and Bishop Doofus by your side. So basically, you don't have that. So Ricochet thinks he has this under the bag. But however, we did see that he almost had it because Ricochet actually low blowed Jericho, and he thought that was it. Nope. He even tried the spirit gun. No. Then the Rico Salt. No, it didn't. It failed miserably. But however, Jericho applied the combination of the Judas effect, then the Lion Salt, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. So Jericho finally get his little retribution towards Ricochet. But however, another challenger was waiting in the wicks, and that is Tommaso Ciampa. So seems now he's aiming for Jericho. Now it's still unclear why, but hopefully we'll get the answer soon enough. Now, Andrade put out a video promo saying that he's finally done with this stadium stampede. So he has one thing in mind, and that one thing in mind alone is the AEW World title. So he is looking straight at MJF. He is hoping he gets a shot at the belt. And this is something I'm sure he wants. And I'm sure Don Callis wants this belt to be part of the Don Callis family. So we'll see what happens. Now our next match, we have Orange Cassidy versus Lio Rush versus Brian Cage versus Rush. And the match was kind of interesting. And of course, Lio Rush is the one person you don't want to be around. But in the end, we did see the Don Callis family try to get involved right in front of Orange Cassidy because they have their issues towards him. And then Jake Doyle showed up out of nowhere after he was injured. But thank God for the conglomeration showed up. We did see Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and everybody else try to help out. But the match remained with both Lio Rush and Rush. But however, Lio Rush ended up getting the bulls of a horn. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. So Rush picked up the win. Now, MJF showed up, of course, dragging the title that Darby Allin had, and he was like dragging it, like saying, this is a piece of garbage, so he has the triple B on the side. And then Kevin Knight got into his face. You probably can guess that he wants that belt, but however, of course, Don Callis was happy to see that, like, he thinks, finally, Kevin Knight saw the light, that sort of thing. No, he saw the darkness, Don Callis. Stop acting like you think you're some sort of saint. But of course, Kyle Fletcher probably can't stand the fact that Kevin Knight has the TNT title by his mitts. So I'm sure that's something that stung him a little bit. Now, Renee Paquette talked to the Brawling Birds about their individual status. As you know, Jamie Hayter lost, and she was willing to admit. However, Alex Windsor, they asked her, "Are you worried about the wild cards?" Like, no, I'm unprepared. I know I'm going to be unprepared, but that's the part of the whole thing. I didn't survive these last couple years trying to be, worried or anything, because she has one thing in mind, and that is win the Owen Hart tournament and make it all the way to Wembley Stadium. But she is hoping she's not going to do this alone. That she's hoping that her hubby, Will Ospreay, will make it there too. So that's exactly what she's aiming for. Now, of course, we did see in the ring MJF gloating, happy about grabbing this belt, taking it backward right through the ring. And of course, Mark Briscoe thinks that, tells him, you're not tough, you're just full of it. You think that you can survive it. He even told him to man up against him. But of course, MJF ran like a coward. He thinks that he's bigger than that. But here comes Rush, and he tells him, you know what's funny? He looks at Mark Briscoe. He's a chicken farmer. But you're a chicken shit. And that's the thing which is true. He runs like a chicken shit. And everybody was saying it. So he told them that he likes Rush because of his physique, the way he looks. He thinks that Mark Briscoe does not qualify. And so he's going to give him a title shot next week. So, because Rush said he nearly beat him last time. But we'll see what happens until then. Now, Jack Perry, as you know, is making his way straight up, of course, to prepare for his match against Mark Davis for the Owen Hart Cup tournament. And but however, Luchasaurus made a pit stop since they were in Philly, the legendary stairs where you see the Rocky Balboa stuff. So basically, that's what he tried to tell him. You got to do that. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. Do it. So they're kind of playing a little bit of the Rocky montage or training montage or something in their own way. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was really great. I love it. Now, we got the quarterfinals of the men's Owen Hart tournament. We have Claudio versus Brody King. These two guys are absolute beasts. Basically, you can tell one of them has to walk out. I mean, Claudio would definitely want to win this and hopefully go to Wembley Stadium. And so was Brody King. But unfortunately, Brody King was able to pick up the win when he applied a lariat, taking the big man down. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. So we'll see what happens. But I think he'll be facing Swerve Strickland in the next round. Now, Adam Copeland along with Christian Cage, well, let's just say they're happy they regained the belt and they decided to bring back some old ways with the, the 5-minute pose. And Christian was against it. And then, of course, they said they had no Polaroids. However, Adam Copeland said he had these 20 years ago and he saved them. So they're passing along. But unfortunately, while they were doing the little pose, they were attacked by the dogs. Yeah, Clark Connors and David Finlay. So basically, looks like they got some new challengers. So we'll see where that goes. Now, not on Swerve, as you know, they are talking about what happened in Double or Nothing, where Swerve defeated and dismantled Bandito. But now, Swerve has to contend once again with Brody King. So that's something we will see. And of course, Swerve is confident enough to believe he'll walk out as the winner. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Ty Mello, and Anna Jay once again teaming up. And you probably can guess their aim is for the AEW World Women's Tag Team belts. This is something that many of us have been hoping for. But first, they had to defeat Ava Everett and Alley Catch, but this one ended regardless with a bit of a double knee strike onto Everett, and it was Ty who picked up the win. 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next quarterfinals of the men's Owen Hart tournament, we have Mark Davis and, of course, Jack Perry. Now, this is not the first time these guys confront each other. They recently confronted each other for the AEW national title, and then, of course, at the Stadium Stampede. But Mark Davis, oh my God, he took out a lot of the beating onto Jack Perry, and Perry tried to withstand it no matter what. But once it happened, the power driver happened. 1, 2, 3. He advances. So that means he'll be facing Will Ospreay. However, Don Callis, as you know, is happy with the result. But, of course, he thinks that Will Ospreay will lose to Mark Davis. And he told Mark Davis that make sure you put him out permanently. But, however, he also said that the chosen one, of course, he believes, will be Kyle Fletcher. And Fletcher comes out, tells him that Takeshita, as you know, was a snake and all this other stuff, like all the things he did. But however, Takeshita was not going to take this crap, but he didn't come alone into the ring. He did have, of course, the conglomeration. But now Takeshita is aiming straight at Kyle Fletcher, so we'll see what happens from there. Now, Will Ospreay, well, he's not an idiot. He is self-aware what's happening. He knows that he will be facing Mark Davis, but he told him it's not going to end the result. Last time you and I had this match, it ended with the referee decision. I will not let that slide. So, that's exactly what we'll see. But however, he teams up with the Death Riders, Pac and John Moxley. But Pac is a bit reserved towards Will Ospreay. They face against the Rascals, but of course, we did see the team up. The Rascals lost to the Death Riders thanks to Will Ospreay putting Minor Reed in an armbar. 1, 2, 3, it was over. Then we see, of course, Andrade taking on Ace Austin. It was a pretty good match, but however, Andrade picked up the win by applying the DM. 1, 2, 3, it's over. Which is only a matter of time until he finally gets a clear view for the AEW World title. Now, our main event is the Philly Street Fight, Lights Out, between Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. Now, if you guys saw what happened, Hikaru Shida struck Chris Statlander with the kendo stick. This is what Mina Shirakawa told Chris Statlander. Do not trust her. And now it seems like it happened. And Of course, they were going to destroy each other one way or the other, but thank God for Harley Cameron, who stood by, helped Chris Statlander, and then later the Night Fever took her out completely, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. So that practically ended right there. So that pretty much what happened on AEW. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we are done with our reviews. Let's end this episode with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is going to be a bit of a short one for all of you. We only have 2 updates for upcoming events, so here they are. As you know, GCW will have the Life of Crime that will happen on the 26th of June. They announced that the GCW tag team belts will be defended. Busta and the Brain will defend it against Bando 48. So don't know exactly which team configuration. Will it be the Koga brothers or will it be Atticus and Christian Napier, or Napier with Otis? I don't know. So they haven't mentioned that. And then, of course, for the upcoming Produce by Orange Crush Volume 2, they announced that Slade will be participating after tough negotiations with them, and details have not been cleared on the whole thing. Now, if you guys saw recently of the recent post of talking about the New Japan thing being the shares being bought by Cyberfight and of course TVSI. Well, there's a picture of Gabe Kidd going to the Cyber Agent office, which is like a version of the Cyberfight group, and found some sort of a little statue figured, and Gabe Kidd looked more like he wanted to piss on it. So, yeah, I don't know what that means, but it's kind of interesting. So, you guys should check it out. If it still exists. So we'll see. So I think that's pretty much it. So like I said, it's a very short one. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, well, as always, we'll have, of course, Ring of Honor and TNA. However, I kind of messed up due to the nature of certain things. We did have the latest New Japan with more of the best of the Super Juniors. I believe we're going to be focused on B block matches. I'm not sure, but we'll just wait and see. So stay tuned for that as well. So the priority is Ring of Honor and TNA. If I do have time, I'll do the best New Japan Best of the Super Juniors. So we'll see about how things roll. But I think that's pretty much it. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.